That's weird. Okay. Bruh. How did it instantly glitch? Alright. Okay. There we go. I'm off my game today. Sorry, guys. Uh, 1 second. Okay. So, hey everyone. Today we're gonna be continuing what we started. What we started on Thursday. We're gonna be finishing off the nervous system, and then I kind of want to get a little bit through chemistry. I was looking through some of the decks. We're gonna skip one of the decks, not because we don't need to do it, but just because the other ones are just simply easier. Like it had it was saying it had a bunch of laws, and I just don't want to do that. I don't want to cover that. So we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna run through some of the chemistry stuff. Just so we have a lot less cards to worry about. I've said before, I don't really want to do all the easy stuff and just leave all the hard stuff, but um, I would prefer to get chemistry out of the way. That way, it's just not like inflating a number that I know could be a lot lower. So, um, yeah, I think I was looking through some of the cards for that we have left for the nervous system. Some of them a lot more difficult than others. Uh, and yeah, I think that's all. Um, all right, so let's get started. Okay, what is summation? So there are, I think they're like smaller action potentials. Um, Not action potentials, but like there are potentials that add up into that add are able to add up in order to create an action potential like the axe and helic. Um, and basically that's what summation is. There's spatial summation and temporal summation. Um, yeah, I, additive effect of multiple stimuli. Um, yeah, pretty much. What do you mean? What do you mean play games? Wait, what do you mean play games though? Oh no. I don't play games for the stream. Like I do that for the like there are some times that I reach like like I realize I'm starting to lose like my attention. Um so that's when I'll like pull out like a New York Times game or something. But no, I don't play games for the whole stream. It's usually like 5 to 10 minutes, something like that. Um Additive effect of multiple stimuli. Yeah, I would say I got that right. Um, or two that, yeah. So I already said this: spatial and temporal summation. Temporal summation is no worries. Temporal summation. I think I remember this being like inversed. Like it was so when the signal's being generated, bruh. Um, that's funny. Um, what is temporal summation? Uh, let's see.
This is a free QBank, so stick around.
Um, yeah, so when the signal's being generated, you're gonna have the time or damn, I don't even know. It might be from the same place or something like that, right? Okay. Multiple signals integrated in a short. Okay, so it'll say it here. This will help me with the. It's probably gonna be like pretty much like the next card. Simultaneous stimulation of many presynaptic terminals. Yeah, okay. So a signal, an active potential generated across multiple like of the dendrites versus um versus just receiving several signals from the same dendrite over time. Okay, yeah, I can figure that out. That's that's not too hard. Um, okay, I didn't get that right. I don't know why I clicked hard. Spatial summation. It means that you're receiving signals from multiple different places, multiple different dendrites, and those are able to sum up to form an extra potential. Oh, I should add that in to my understanding of the definition. Um, what is a threshold potential? I think it's like negative 55 millivolts. Um, 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 I think it's like negative 55 millivolts. Um, It's basically it is the membrane potential that needs to be reached before an action potential can be generated. -55 to -40. Okay. What is temporal summation? Um, you're receiving several signals over time. So temporal summation is gonna be you're gonna receive oh my god, several different signals over time. And receive several different signals over time from the same presynaptic terminal. Okay. All right. Yeah. What is spatial summation? You're receiving signals across multiple different presynaptic terminals over time. What? Why did I say? Why did I say over time? What is summation? It's like the additive property of the potentials to form an action potential. What are voltage gated channels? Channels that only open if the voltage, if like the memory potential reaches a certain value. What is depolarization? Um, Depolarization is when uh, um, what is depolarization? Um, yeah, so it's when the potential, the voltage becomes it's positive. It becomes more positive. It goes in the positive direction. Spatial summation, it receives multiple signals across multiple different presynaptic terminals simultaneously. What is summation? Summation is when stimuli are added together in order to create an action potential. What are voltage gated channels? Um, I'm thinking around January. Um, what are voltage gated channels? Um, yeah, these open only in response to changes in membrane potential. What is depolarization? It just means the membrane potential goes in the positive direction due to an influx of charge. Yeah, you could say that. Um, so, um, yeah, so it depolarizes the membrane from -70 uh, to 0. Um, so yeah, it just moves in the positive direction. Yeah. Uh, what are the two types of summation, temporal and spatial? What is the threshold potential? It could range from -55, um, it could be from -55 to -40. It is the potential that's necessary in order to induce an action potential. What is temporal summation? Temporal summation is when they are all fired in the same dendrite, but um, they're all fired in the same dendrite, but they like over a short period of time. Depolarization is caused by excitatory. During depolarization, the memory potential is increasing. As sodium ions rush into the cell, the memory potential becomes more positive. What happens when the threshold potential is reached that causes the active potential to fire? What happens when the threshold potential is reached that causes, well, that sounds, I mean, as for the process, it's a lot longer. Oh, it didn't want the whole process. I feel like that question is enough to warrant me telling you the entire process, starting from the threshold, to be honest with you. What happens when the memory potential reaches positive 35? Wasn't it like, doesn't it go, does it go up until positive 40 or positive 30? I'm gonna assume maybe positive 35 is the peak. At positive 35, I would say probably the K plus voltage gated channels are gonna open and allow for potassium ions to flow outward. Oh, yeah. I don't know why I said positive 35. I think honestly, let's check. 1 second. Um, I'm pretty sure that if I check, I'm probably gonna find that it says it's like positive 30. If I see that it says positive 30 on one of the other cards, I'm just gonna I'm low-key leaking my reviews right now, but hopefully it doesn't have that too big of an effect. Where is it? Oh yeah, it does say until positive 30. So why I said positive 35? It's not positive 35, it's positive 30. All right, there you go. We changed it now. Um, uh, so, um, okay. Again, what happens when the threshold potential is reached? It means that the voltage-gated sodium channels are going to open, and um, the membrane is just going to depolarize. During repolarization, the membrane potential is so it's definitely increasing, right? Oh damn. As potassium ions rush out of the cell, the membrane potential becomes more um it becomes more negative, right? Yeah, more negative. What is hyperpolarization? I low-key looked up into the past couple seconds of the stream and I saw it like 3 seconds ago. But hyperpolarization is basic. I'm gonna click again because I might have gotten this wrong otherwise. Um, Hyperpolarization is when um is after the undershoot when it resets its like the cell resets its potential to the resting potential instead of like being under. Oh, never mind. What happens when the memory potential reaches positive 30? That's when the sodium channels are gonna close and potassium channels are going to open, allowing it to go out and making the memory potential more negative. During repolarization, the memory potential is decreasing. Hyperpolarization is caused by um, inhibitory. What is the refractory period? The refractory period, I think it does depend on which one we're talking about. Um, there's an absolute and a relative refractory period, and there's an absolute and a relative refractory period. But generally, the refractory period is the amount of time that it takes between when you fire with the first action potential and when you can fire the next. I don't really like this definition. I'll be honest. Does Let's see. Um, Let me see if there's another. If there are more cards that are. Let me see if there are more cards associated with absolute versus uh, relative. There are not more cards associated with it. Let's see. Refractory period definitions. Okay. All right. There were not even that many cards in the thing, so all right. That is a somewhat better definition of it, to be honest. Okay, that is huge. That I did not want that to be that big. Okay. Did that make it smaller? Holy. No, I don't want it that small. Or that small. Right. Oh my god. Okay. This is still too small. Okay. That's gotta be good enough. Okay. So, uh, yeah, so the absolute refractory period is caused by the inactivation of the sodium channel. So you have to wait. You just have to wait for those to be able to be reactivated versus the relative refractory period, which just occurs in the hyperpolarization phase when it goes even below the normal resting potential. All right, what is spatial summation? Um, you're getting the signal simultaneously, but across several presynaptic terminals. What is hyperpolarization? Hyperpolarization is when the membrane potential is decreasing, is becoming more negative. To make it harder to reach threshold, yeah, pretty much. Right, yeah. What is summation? The additive property of the signals. I don't know where 33 cards are because I didn't see them. What are voltage gated channels? Voltage gated channels are channels that are only open in response to changes to the membrane potential. Um, when it becomes more negative. What is the threshold potential? Like it ranges from negative 55 to negative 40. Um, it's going to this is the potential that's necessary to reach. Membrane potential that must be reached before an active potential can be fired. What is temporal summation? Um, they're it's the signals are being received at one presynaptic terminal, but uh, it's being integrated over time. So it's just receiving multiple signals. They're being added up, and yeah. What is depolarization? Um, um, what is depolarization? Um, it's when the membrane potential becomes more positive. Absolute refractory period. Uh, this is so the absolute refractory period is when the sodium channels are closed. So you need to wait for it to reopen, or else no active potential can be had. The refractory period happens during hyperpolarization when it's below the resting potential. It goes below the resting potential, but so you just need a stronger signal in order to activate it. Depolarization is caused by excitatory. As sodium ions rush into the cell, the memory potential becomes more positive. As during repolarization, the memory potential is uh, repolarization increasing. Bro, I don't get it. How can it be decreasing? During depolarization, it's increasing. Hyperpolarization is is caused by inhibitory. What are the two types of refractory period? Bruh, absolute and relative. I literally didn't see these. What is absolute refractory period? Yeah, I literally have a whole other card for this because I couldn't find it. I thought it wasn't here. All right. Well, if I have these cards there already, then I can suspend these two. I like my card better, even though it's just a screenshot of a Google search. What do we mean when we say that the active potential has a constant potential difference regardless of intensity of stimuli? Active potential is all or nothing, so you can't. It'll be the same. It'll always have the same magnitude. It's coded. It's coded by frequency. During repolarization, the membrane potential. I'm honestly gonna look this up, bro, because what is I'm seeing all these hyperpolarization. Like, I'm like not remembering hyperpolarization, repolarization. I'm not remembering these words. Okay, repolarization is when it's falling down. Hyperpolarization is just the area that is underneath. Okay. Um uh During repolarization, the membrane potential is decreasing. What happens when the membrane potential reaches positive 30? The sodium channels close. Voltage-gated sodium channels are going to close. Voltage-gated potassium channels are going to open. What happens when the threshold is reached and causes the action potential to fire? The sodium channels are going to open. And it's going to allow the sodium channels to flow in. I mean, the sodium ions to flow in. What is hyperpolarization? Hyperpolarization is when it goes beneath the resting, no, the membrane potential goes beneath the resting potential. It becomes more negative. What is impulse propagation? How are signals passed down the length of the axon? So the signal is active potential is generated at the axon hillock, and then that signal is going to spread to the first node of MBA. It's going to open another voltage gated sodium channel. It's going to have an influx. It's going to basically regenerate the speed and intensity of the signal until it gets to the next one and the next one and the next one and the next one and the next one. And that's how it's just passed down the length. How does an active potential propagate down the axon? Is that literally not the exact same card? Hold on. How are signals passed down the length? Electrically. Okay. I'm just gonna like suspend. What is impulse propagation? Impulse propagation is uh it is the ability of the axon to like send the impulse down the axon. I don't know. The AP travels down the axon. How does an axon potential? What is oscillatory conduction? regulated gates will generate the next action potential. Um, it's just the way that the action potential uh, travels from the axon hillock to um, the axon terminal. It's through saltatory conduction. So it's generated at the axon hillock, and then that signal um, is going to affect the voltage gated channels at the first node of our MBA, and then it's going to be refreshed, and then it affects the next one, and so on and so forth. What is the function of saltatory conduction? To maintain the speed and intensity of the signal. What is saltatory conduction? Saltatory conduction is saltatory conduction. It's just how the signal kind of like jumps from node to node in between, and with the signal being insulated in between by the myelin sheaths. How are signals passed from neuron to neuron? Um, well, technically, it can be either electrically or via the neurotransmitters, but we could just say neurotransmitters for now. Diffusing across the synapse. What is a neurotransmitter? Chemical. How are they stored in vesicles? What is the function of saltatory conduction? To maximize the speed of the signal. As potassium ions rush out of the cell, the memory potential becomes more negative. How does an action potential cause the release of neurotransmitters? Um, um, when it reaches the axon terminal, voltage-gated calcium 2 channels open, causing the neurotransmitter vesicles to exocytose their contents into the synapse. Absolute versus refractory period. Absolute refractory period. Oh, bruh. I know that something was wrong about this. Something didn't seem right. Um, the absolute refractory period is that's just when the sodium channel can't be reopened. Um, the relative refractory period is when it goes beneath the resting memory potential, so it can be another action potential can be had. It's any chemical that can transmit information from neuron to neuron. Neurotransmitters that are exocytosed from the presynaptic cell, and yeah. Absolute and relative. Hyperpolarization is caused by inhibitory. How does an action potential cause the release of neurotransmitters? Um, Action potential, once it reaches the axon terminal, it opens up the calcium channels, and the calcium causes the vesicles to exocytose their contents into the synapse. What will a neurotransmitter do if it does not exit the synaptic cleft? Um, if it does not exit the synaptic cleft, um, I mean, it could, like, it could be taken back up by the cell. I don't remember the mechanism for reuptake, but it could. Rebind to the receptor. Oh, I didn't know that's what it was asking. What are the three ways that neurotransmitters are removed from the synaptic cleft after they have exerted their effects? Astrocytes, I think, can remove the neurotransmitters. Like they might like phagocytose them. Then it could be through reuptake, or I don't know the last one. Diffusion. Okay. What is impulse propagation? The way that the action potential travels from the axon hillock to the axon terminal. During repolarization, the memory potential is decreasing. What is a reflex arc? I don't know. Neural circuit that controls reflexive behavior, often housed within the spinal cord. What will a neurotransmitter do if it does not exit the synaptic cleft? Um, what will a neurotransmitter? It'll just reactivate the same receptor. What is hyperpolarization? It's when the membrane potential becomes more negative, so the membrane becomes more polarized. What do we mean that when we say that the action potential has a constant potential difference regardless of intensity? It means that the action potential, is always triggered by the same threshold. It reaches the same maximum, and it reaches the same minimum. Um, it has the same, like, regardless of the intensity of the stimuli, it'll never be mm, the shape will never change. Um, but what can be changed is I guess kind of like, I feel like I don't really want to say that the shape can't change, but for the most part, it can't change. Um, besides the part that, besides the hyperpolarization, um, since like that part is the relative refractory period, so it's frequency coded though. What are three ways they're removed? Enzyme degradation, reuptake, and diffusion just out of the cleft. What is a reflex arc? Neural circuit that controls reflexive behavior. They're stored in vesicles in the axon terminal. Describe the signal conduction of a reflex arc. is a monosynaptic reflex arc? I'm assuming it's a neural circuit that only synapses once. I don't know. Wow. Directly synapses, sensory neuron directly synapses onto the motor neuron to trigger the reflex arc, or the reflex response. Um, Neuroscience classes love this one. They love this reflex. How are signals passed from neuron to neuron? Um, how are signals passed from neuron to neuron? Um, um, I'm going insanely slow. This is actually like astonishing. How are signals passed from neuron to neuron? Um, mm, it's via the neurotransmitters that activate the postsynaptic receptors. What is a reflex arc? It is a neural circuit that initiates reflexive behavior. What is a chemical that transmits information from neuron to neuron? Um, it goes from the sensory neuron to the spine, and the spine responds to it before sending the signal to the brain. Has an active potential to propagate down the axon, like saltatory conduction. The signal is gonna hop from node to node, refreshing its intensity and speed. What is a monosynaptic reflex arc? It only has one synapse. So the sensory neuron, like synapses directly on the motor neuron that responds to the the stimuli. Saltatory conduction just means that it hops from node to node, um, while the myelin sheath is like between it. What is the function of saltatory conduction to maximize the speed of the signal? What is a reflexive arc? Um, a reflex arc is this is let me see. Okay. A reflex arc is a neural circuit that controls reflexive behavior. Um, I mean, it just means that it has more than one there's more than one synapse in the neural circuit that's controlling the reflexive behavior. So it might synapse on an interneuron. What is the autonomic nervous system? The autonomic nervous system the autonomic nervous system is how do neurons affect target tissues differently in the somatic versus autonomic nervous systems? Name the specific neurons in the two neuron pathway of the autonomic nervous system. Oh, yeah, this deck has the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous systems again. I'm not learning different effects, so it can actually like I'm not gonna learn whole different effects for this. I cannot be bothered. What is the autonomic nervous system? The autonomic nervous system is um
Discovery's 4 computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.
okay. Yeah. I'm clearly starting to lose attention. Um yeah, we're definitely gonna do um we're gonna be doing more New York Times games. All right, hold up. Let me get this out because I'm like, I'm losing concentration like so bad. Um, um, let's see. For an extra challenge, turn on hard mode. I think I'm good, bro. Um, type. Every sound glyph is just too. It's just too overpowered, bro. All right, let's see. We're gonna do connections. Hopefully, it shouldn't. I'm gonna try to do it as fast as I can. Um, if those weren't like, if that was not the answer, I genuinely would have been lost. Um, I don't know what this is, man. I wasn't even one off. Okay. Uh, one away. Um, I know y'all thought, y'all knew what I was thinking there. I thought it was something low key aggressive. I don't know. But I really want, I feel like poker night, club night, uh, steak night. I don't know, man. I'm like lost. What was it? Oh, wow. I almost got it completely like almost. I thought I was filling in the blank for a completely different word, and it just so happened to be close. Oh, I don't want to do this one. This one's a big one. Bottom of 2020 Pixar movie. What is that? Sing the praises of. Is this not? Is this word not correct? It is correct. French fashion. Uh, X. Uh, what is this? Um, Flyers in a V. Um, I thought it was like exalt at first, but it's not. Bro, reveal this square, bro. Bro, what? Extort, extol, extol, stog, stoff, stod, exstock, extob, exton, exton. I literally don't know still. Bro, so, I think, where could this be? Further down? Further down? Uh, uh, is this above it? Um, I don't know if I'm gonna get this one. Um, uh, um, I don't remember, bro. It's not. It's not that one. It's definitely not that one. I got the same one twice. It would probably show it a lot smaller if it was something like, I don't know. I actually don't know. Can I give up? Damn. Eswatini? I wasn't gonna get that. That's weird. Why did they I feel like I remember Eswatini having like a distinctive shape. Um all right. Um okay. autonomic nervous system is the PNS that's in charge of all of your autonomous functions like breathing, your heart beating. How does an action potential cause the release of neurotransmitters? When it arrives at the axon terminal, it's going to cause the CA2 plus channels to open, and then CA2 plus channels to open, and the CA2 plus is going to cause the vesicles exocytose. How do neurons affect target tissues differently? Somatic is, I, th- I think somatic is straight to the target tissue, and autonomic isn't. What is impulse propagation? It's just the way that it travels down the axon, from the axon hillock to the axon terminal. You have the preganglionic, the postganglionic, and then the effector tissue. What are the two components of autonomic nervous system? Um, uh, oh. What will the neurotransmitter do if it does not exit the synaptic cleft? It's just gonna keep reactivating. What is the signal conduction of a reflex arc? The sensory neuron is gonna synapse on the motor neuron for the corresponding like reflex arc. Oh, sorry. They're stored in vesicles in the axon terminal. Enzyme degradation, uh, reuptake, and diffusion. It's a neural circuit that arrives at the spinal cord, and then is going to it's going to arrive at the spinal cord and then turn around, and the spinal cord is going to respond to it before spinal cord is going to respond to it. A second. Spinal cord is going to respond to it before sending it to the brain. What is a polysynaptic? It means that it has more than one synapse involved. It often includes interneurons. It means it only has one synapse. The sensory neuron synapses on the motor neuron for the reflex. How are signals passed from neuron to neuron? Neurotransmitters that activate the postsynaptic response. A chemical that transmits information from neuron to neuron. How do neurons affect target tissues differently in the somatic versus autonomic nervous systems? In the somatic nervous system, uh, it's direct. In the autonomic nervous system, there is an interneuron between the sensory and the motor. Oh damn, I don't even know what I'm talking about. What are the two components of the autonomic nervous system? Um, the two components of the autonomic nervous system are um, um, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. Describe the signal conduction of a reflex arc. It's gonna go from the sense. So, uh, it's gonna like the stimulus is gonna arrive. It's gonna go to the spinal cord, and then go to the. I don't know which one is this, bro. Okay, this is the PNS that's is going to have all the autonomic functions. It's gonna maintain all the autonomic functions. How do neurons affect target tissues differently in the somatic versus autonomic nervous systems? Um, guys, it's not looking good. I know I'm gonna suspend a couple cards at the end here, but at this rate, there's no way that we get through like any more cards. I'm gonna be honest. How do how do neurons affect target tissues differently in the somatic versus autonomic nervous systems? Um, how do neurons affect target tissues differently in the somatic versus autonomic nervous systems? Um, how do neurons affect target tissues differently in the somatic versus autonomic nervous systems? Uh, in the somatic, it goes direct. In the autonomic, it goes to another neuron before going to the effector tissue. So the stimulus is gonna be received, and then it's gonna travel to the spinal cord, which is gonna send a response before sending it to the brain. Um, so it's the preganglionic, the postganglionic, and then the affected tissue. Um, they're the exact opposite. They do exactly the opposite of one another. Suspends. What are the primary functions of the sympathetic nervous system? Suspend. What neurotransmitters are released by the pre and postganglionic neurons in the sympathetic division? Um, adrenaline, uh, and noradrenaline. Oh, ACH and norepinephrine. This one is fine. We can do again. What does it mean to be an adrenergic receptor? It binds to adrenaline. What is the main role of the parasympathetic nervous system? We could leave that alone. What are the primary functions of the parasympathetic nervous system? We're gonna we're gonna suspend this card. What neurotransmitter does the parasympathetic nervous system use to exert its effects? I don't know, probably GABA or something. Oh, ACH. What neurotransmitters are released by the pre-ACH? Okay. What does it mean to be a cholinergic receptor? It means that it binds to acetylcholine. What is the somatic nervous system? The somatic nervous system is the nervous system, part of the PNS that is going to respond to bodily stimuli, and it has, I don't know, that we consciously control. Consists of the sensory and motor neurons in the body. Um, in the sympathetic division, it's ACH in the pre and norepinephrine in the post. What does it mean to be an adrenergic receptor? It means that it binds to epinephrine and norepinephrine. What is the main role of the parasympathetic nervous system? The main role is to um, main role of the parasympathetic nervous system is to to conserve energy. ACH. Also ACH. The somatic nervous system is a part of the PNS that we do consciously control. It consists of the sensory and motor neurons that we use to act on like certain stimuli. What are the two components of the autonomic nervous system, the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system? What is a reflex arc? It is a neural circuit that um, controls reflexive behavior. How do neurons affect target tissues differently? In the somatic nervous system, it acts directly. In the autonomic nervous system, it synapses on another neuron before the target tissue. What is a polysynaptic? It means it has more than one synapse. So interneurons are mostly involved. Describe the signal conduction of a reflex arc. Um, uh, Describe the signal conduction of a reflex arc. Um, uh, oh my God. Describe the signal conduction of a reflex arc. It's gonna be received, then it's gonna send it to the spinal cord, and the spinal cord is gonna send the response back before sending it to the brain. What does it mean to be a colon? It binds to ACH. What is the autonomic nervous system? It's the part of PNS that we um, unconsciously control. Um, yeah. What neurotransmitters are released? Norepinephrine and ACH. Oh, I'm gonna give myself hard because I didn't specify which one was which. To conserve energy. What is the somatic nervous system? The somatic nervous system is the PNS that we do consciously control. Name the specific neuron, pre and post ganglionic, and then the effector organ. Um, it's ACH and then norepinephrine. It means that it binds to epinephrine and norepinephrine. How do neurons affect target tissues differently in the somatic versus autonomic nervous systems? Um, how do neurons affect? Um, how do neurons affect target tissues differently in the somatic versus autonomic nervous systems? Um, it's direct and somatic. It's indirect and autonomic. It synapses on another neuron beforehand in the autonomic nervous system. What neurotransmitter? ACH in both. Parasympathetic and sympathetic. ACH. The part of PNS that we do consciously control. It's gonna send it to the spine, and the spine's gonna respond before sending it to the brain. Binds to ACH. What is the main role of the parasympathetic nervous system? What is the main role of the parasympathetic nervous system? It means um it's to conserve energy. Released by the pre and post ganglionic neurons in the sympathetic division. Um, uh, it's ACH and norepinephrine. Okay, an hour and a half for that. Wow, we actually suspended an almost even amount of cards this time. Um, all right, let's see. I don't think we're gonna do anything else. I think that might be it. I was thinking about doing some more stuff, but I don't think I have it in me. I'm gonna be honest. Uh, All right. So, yeah, I wanted to do a lot more today, but as you guys could tell, I was moving very, very, very slowly. And I think we would genuinely just be so much more efficient if we just continued and we did our longer, the day that we do more cards, it's coming up, may not be today, may not even be tomorrow, but it's definitely coming up.